Hi, welcome to another tip strategy specific video of Hyperroll, but this time I'm going to be using one match to show you what I'm doing. The first NPC round gave me 2 Dawnbringers, and I think it's very important to pay attention to what the game is showing you, and when it gives you an instant buff, take it and see where it goes. I grabbed the sword here because I know that the sword and the needlessly large rod will make the Hex Tech, and I put out Sejuani just to make this initial comp as strong as possible because I want to get brawlers up front so they're picking up additional health. This is to make the initial round strong just so I don't start off with a loss. There's a strategy in ranked play where you lose early so you get higher pulls off of the carousel, and also you can get gold from going on lose streaks. It doesn't work that way in Hyperroll. You will get a little bit of gold for a loss, but not necessarily enough to make up for the amount of health that you lose. With that said, there are an exception or two, especially if you lose 2 rounds of the first 4, you might as well lose 3, because the difference between 16 and 14 health is not going to make a huge difference down the line. You're still going to have the same number of, quote, lives left as you would in each additional round. So once you lose 2, you may as well lose the 3rd and pick up the extra gold. At this point, we've only lost 1, so we don't necessarily want to lose a 2nd. So we're going to roll down and see what we can find that will best synergize in with this team. A 3rd Dawnbringer is nice, but I'd rather find something that will create synergy. So we roll to find a pike so that I can create the assassin buff on Kha'Zix. Now we're dealing with 3 buffs: brawlers, Dawnbringers, and assassins. I like any chance to pick up additional buffs this early in the game. It gives you more power and enables you to win. And again, you really want to try to keep winning. There is not a really good strategy that revolves around lose streaking. There may be, as I mentioned before, individual situations where you could lose and it doesn't matter, but ultimately you always want to make the best board you can at any given time so that you can keep winning. Sadly, your best board and someone else's best board might mean that your best board is going to lose at that moment. Radiant items, you want to pick the one that's best going to fit your build, and since I'm leaning towards Dawnbringers at this point, the Hex Tech Lifeblade is the way to go because that will be a fantastic item for Karma, who's going to be the center of this build. The chance to go up to 4 Dawnbringers is better than just having an additional 1-star bronze assassin on the team. Once you get a Radiant item, you really want to use it, and so even though it means giving up my Brawler buff, I'm going to pull in Brand, who is my item holder for Karma. Give him the Hextech Lifeblade, the Jeweled Gauntlet, and a Rabadon's Death Cap so I can make his attacks as powerful as possible. Along with the Dawnbringer buff, the Hextech Lifeblade is going to help heal whoever is the lowest percentage health at any given time. You can see that it will help all of the characters stay up a little bit longer, and even though I had been looking at a loss coming into this, I quickly turned that around and am back to winning. As we watch this next fight, I need to tell you what this channel is about and why it's called Mission4Tuition. We created the channel to help pay for our son's middle and high school tuition as he has to go to a special school which is insanely expensive. We don't ask for donations or anything like that. We don't even have a link. But if you can hit like on this video, it'll help it spread to more people and the video will make more money through ad revenue. Since we picked up a spatula in an earlier round, the Giant's Belt is the obvious choice because that will create the Dawnbringer's buff. But I also want to talk a little bit about something that gets completely ignored in Hyperroll, and that is Econ. I am not rolling right now because next round, when we get to 7, we're going to have a 15% chance of rolling a 4, and that's my best chance to search for a Karma. There is actually no difference at this point between 12 health and 8 health. Once we get to level 8, we're going to be losing 6 health per turn, and 6 times 2 is 12. I'd be out in 2 hits. and 6 times 2 is greater than 8, I'd be out in 2 hits. So I want to just keep as much gold as possible so I can roll down at level 7 when I have the best chance of getting a karma and absolutely shoring up this build, bringing it up to the 6th Dawnbringer. So at this point is the time to roll, and what happens here will matter. Now, given the chance to get a 2-cost brand, we're going to take it, but we're also looking for every possible Dawnbringer that we can, specifically looking for karma. With the 15% chance to get 4s, we have at least a decent chance of getting her. I pick up Vel'Koz as a maybe character because it would pair off with a Spellweaver, but once I see the chance to get karma, I am grabbing her. With those 2 Nikos helps, I can immediately take her up to 2 stars. So it is time to say goodbye to Brand, hello to karma. Nikos help her up to silver as quickly as possible and get those critical items on her, because she is going to be the main focus of this team. And again, Dawnbringer is not in style right now. It's not considered one of the strongest builds. But if you can get the right characters uncontested, it can still do really well, as you'll see right here. Every time Karma casts, she is healing not only herself, but somebody else on the team. And even against a Renewer Irelia with a Radiant Warmogs, she's able to keep the team up long enough that Nidalee is able to secure the kill. Since Karma's not a Spellweaver, we do not need Xira anymore, and the Dawnbringer buff will be much more effective on Volley, and we can put out a 7th Dawnbringer with an eye towards getting to 8. We're guaranteed to get there now because the most we can lose in this round is 4, which will allow us to get into the next level and potentially get that 8th Dawnbringer to take us to the absolute full buff. So in some ways, this round doesn't really matter. Although I'd rather win it, I can lose it and still get what I need in the next round. I wanted to hold on to gold because the percentage chance of rolling a 5 increased to 5% from 1%. Right now I'm just picking up as many Dawnbringers as I can and trying to find where items will be most effective. I decide to use Riven for the Infinity Edge and Runan's Hurricane because she can pour out a lot of damage. Since we've 3-starred the Gragas, it's not a bad idea to make use of him as an item holder for support items, so Ionic Spark will go on him along with the Zeke's Herald to speed up everyone's attack. Finding Garen gives us our 8th Dawnbringer and a really good win condition for this game, because at the 8th Dawnbringer they are picking up absolute maximum healing, and Karma is still throwing out those globes of death that will heal the lowest health percentage character as well. You can see how quickly they can put another team down. Now here's another important tip. I noticed in the last fight that Nidalee was staying up the longest of all the other characters. So since I have 2 silver Rivens, I might as well switch the items over to Nidalee where they might do more good. In general, if you need to switch items to another character, just go ahead and do it. It will help your game out immensely rather than dogmatically sticking to what you started. I had the chance to get the items off of Riven, move them onto Nidalee, and as you can see, it worked out perfectly, keeping me in the match. Rito rewards me even further in the NPC round, giving me a gold 3-star Nidalee. I've also picked up a lone Nocturne, not necessarily because I care that he does anything, but he is triggering the Revenant buff for Volibear and the Assassin buff for Kha'Zix. Again, Teemos always equal gold, especially when you're low on health. Thanks to that Teemo, I was able to silver up that Volibear. So along with the Revenant buff and the Dawnbringer buff, Volibear is going to be a force to be reckoned with, able to knock out an entire team with a single stomp. That allows Nidalee to come in and do a ton of damage, all at the same time, while Karma is just weakening them and healing our lowest percentage health character at the same time. Overall, it works out pretty well. Now, whether to Econ or not, whether to hold your gold or not, is going to be a decision for each individual game. In this case, you have to consider where you are in the match and what you have to gain from it. For this match, it was more important for me to hold on to gold and wait for Karma because I knew she was going to be my carry and that would allow me to head for victory. So there is an Econ strategy to Hyperroll, it's just very situational and not as clear cut as the other matches. This one led me to a victory, and I hope this video helps you and that you have an absolutely awesome day.